Boy, what do you look forward to most about this afternoon?
The uncertainty of a new season, and you could easily look at each of the sessions and go, well, Mercedes are going to dominate because they've been fastest in each of them. But we've got this new qualifying session now with the knockout. And so 7 minutes into the first session, every 90 seconds, a car that is the slowest drops out of it. So you've really got to have your wits about you. You've got to be out early, so there's going to be a lot more action earlier in the sessions. And it was just raining before I came over. For those who haven't been outside, because the bar's probably inside, isn't it? And I understand the Aussies like a small refreshment on the weekend.
A bit like the Scots like that.
Well, we do, definitely. Yeah, we don't build outside, we just build inside. Just one big bar.
Who's going to be fast, do you think? I mean, you've seen some testing from a couple of months ago or the last month or so. Who in your mind looks good?
Well, you've got to say that the pre-season testing was just incredible for Mercedes. I think they did 19 Grand Prix distances in accumulated miles between the two drivers. So they've almost done a complete season already, which is just exceptional. And it shows how far Formula One has moved forward, because we've got the most complicated technology that we've ever had, but they've also been able to design it with great reliability. So everything that you want to translate into your road cars ultimately. So it's a great inter-team battle between Lewis and Nico. Sebastian Vettel, for all you secret Ferrari fans. You got to keep that quiet in here, haven't you? Whenever he does a good lap, you've got to go, But, there's great respect for the competitors in Formula One. It's a big family. And, of course, Mercedes want to beat Ferrari, Ferrari want to beat Mercedes, and all the other teams want to beat each other. But they know collectively just how much work and effort goes into delivering that car to the racetrack. And the drivers ultimately know that. They get the glory, they get paid highly, and they get to spray the champagne when they have success. But they know they would only be there because of all the hard work of the team. So, a good example of that is someone like Fernando Alonso, great driver, two-time world champion. Right now, not in a competitive situation because the partnership that McLaren Honda are working on it hasn't really gelled. So he's kind of out of the spotlight right now. So, he remembers well how important it is to have everything working well within the team before you even take to the track.
You mentioned success here, and you've had some great success at this circuit. What's your greatest memory when you look back of Albert Park?
Well, the winning, of course, is a highlight. That's what you work for, and to win the first Grand Prix of the season gives you such a good feeling and a boost for the year. Unfortunately, I never converted that into a championship because I think I probably partied too hard after the first race, and then took the edge off for the next ones. But I think you have to celebrate the moment. It's not easy to win Grand Prix. If you get a purple patch where everything's working, then you can have a good run. But I love the whole journey of my career. I had 15 years in Formula One, incredibly lucky. The majority of my time, 9 seasons, I had the Mercedes power behind me. So it's always nice to have a little bit extra help when you're getting around the racetrack. So now I work in television, talking bollocks for British TV, and so that does mean the same thing out here. Yeah.
Nothing lost in translation there,
yeah.
We've got that.
But I don't lose any races anymore, so I have the champagne there at the end of the commentary anyway. I celebrate.
Now, I know you spent so many years with Mercedes-Benz. I know that the Superstar means something special to you. Tell us about the cars that you drive at home.
Well, my daily ride, because I live in Monte Carlo, and if anyone's been there, you'll know it's quite small, 1.6 square miles, so it's actually quite lazy to jump in the car. But my 7-year-old son goes to school up at the Palace, not in the Palace, but up the school beside the Palace. He's not Prince Albert's illegitimate son, he is actually mine. So I take him up there in the morning in a Smart. I have a little Smart Brabus, so we get the roof down and we go for a little pose in that. But when I'm driving out of Monaco, then I have a C63, which I think is a fantastic package. I can't quite decide between the C and the E, because I like the smaller car. We've just come over here in an S-Class, which is a beautiful cruising machine. But because I was a racing driver for a few years, I like the car being a bit closer to me. I like a smaller car, and that car's got great performance, and because it's so small and easy to drive relatively, it makes me feel talented. So I enjoy that. But I've got a GL, which when we head up to the mountains and you need to move the whole family and baggage and stuff like that, and I think that's a fantastic car. But I actually have a car the same age as me from the Mercedes range, which I bought 20 years ago. When I first started to earn a little bit of money, I didn't go and buy something modern. I bought an old classic. So I have a 1971 280 SL Pagoda, which has been part of my family for the last 20 years. And when I bought it, I always said, well, you know, I'll have a son one day. I was pretty confident things were working down there, and he would, well, certainly trying hard anyway to. And thankfully, I was blessed with a son. He's 7. And I keep saying to him, you know, this will be your car one day, and he kind of, you know, he doesn't get it. He looks at this old car, and he much prefers the sound of the C63, you know. So, but he'll get it hopefully when he's older. And you know, I just think it's nice. If you look at what that car represented, or the Gullwing before that, you know, the level of engineering, and given that the cars were designed on drawing boards and not on CAD CAM, and you know, I love sort of reflecting on the hand-built element of those early sort of sports cars. So that's I don't drive it very often because you know, I want to look after it. But that's what I've got to say my favourite car.
Awesome.
Actually, Nico borrowed it for his wedding.
Oh, right.
Because, you know, poor multi-millionaire, multi-Grand Prix winner Nico can't afford to hire a car. So he thought asking a Scotsman to lend him his was... But he looked after it. They didn't do any sort of, you know, didn't leave any used condoms or anything in there. So so he didn't use it for the full wedding experience, thankfully.
What did you charge him for the hire?
Well, actually, he said he would take me for lunch sometime, but I think he's seen me in retirement having a little glass of wine occasionally. I think he's scared of the wine bill, so it hasn't happened as yet.
Just on a serious note, you've done a couple of big events since you've been here. You did the Australian Road Safety Awards during the week, which was fantastic, but also you launched that fantastic new Victoria Police car, which is quite remarkable on the road. You've probably seen it on 7 News, which is a fantastic channel. But just tell us a bit about the car and your passion for road safety as well.
Well, I've also worked with the Scottish Traffic Police on a road safety campaign up there, because we lose a lot of youngsters in the early stages. A lot of our roads are country roads, back roads. For those who've been to Scotland, we do have a couple of motorways, which was funded from England, but the majority of our roads are farm roads, and you know, a lot of teenagers they overestimate their driving ability, and you know, get muddy roads and farm roads and stuff. So we really try and work on getting them to do any of that fast stuff on the racetrack. You know, there's lots of track days you can do. I think that if I remember correctly, was it about 250 road traffic deaths here in Victoria, or certainly in this area, and they're obviously trying to work to reduce that. And we all know that occasionally we might not remember to stay exactly within the regulations, but you've certainly got to stay within your limitations. And what really stood out in the car that the police are working with now, it's got so many safety features, and you know, a lot of people will spec their cars up with nice wheels before they'll think about putting airbags, and the whole message is about put the safety first, and then, you know, put all the shiny bits on afterwards.
It's a great message. Now, I know we've got to get you away so you can get back on air, but who is going to win tomorrow afternoon? Simple question. Okay,
let me just look at my crystal balls. Nope, they still don't work. Yeah. You know, whoever you want to win, then that's who you want to win, and you should, you know, follow your gut on that. But whoever wins this race, and let's assume it's going to be one of the Mercedes Grand Prix drivers, I hope it's in a great fighting, sporting spirit that does Australia proud, because, you know, you're a great sporting nation. So we've come down here, we're guests in your country, and the least we can do is try and thank you for that with good entertainment. And if we don't, I'm not to blame.
Awesome. Hey, so good to see you here. It's great to have you here once again. You're always welcome down here, and particularly in this lounge. Would you please thank David Coulthard for joining us? Thanks,